A little under 48 hours ago, South Carolina looked like it was poised for a big weekend after a 7-0 win over number 15 Clemson on Friday at Founders Park to open up the annual Palmetto Series. But the last two games of this series were a much different story and brought the Gamecocks back down to a harsh reality that there is still a lot of work to do, and there are some real struggles going on right now with less than 2 weeks to go before conference play begins. South Carolina dropped the series finale in a rubber match with Clemson on Sunday, falling 7-2 here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. And just like the first two games, South Carolina jumped out to an early lead in the second inning after a 2-out, 2-run single by Dawson Harmon to snap what was an 0-for-6 skid through the first two games of the series. And that would be about where all of the good vibes of this game ended for South Carolina. Right away in the bottom of the second, Riley Goodman, who got the start on the mound, gave up 2 runs on a pair of wild pitches and then an RBI ground out to tie the game. And then from there, the Tigers took the 2 more runs in the third to take the lead for good and added another run in the fourth and 2 more in the sixth. And with Goodman specifically, this was another not so great outing out of him. He only lasted 2 innings, gave up 3 runs on 2 hits with 2 strikeouts and 2 walks. He also plunked the batter and threw 2 wild pitches. He threw 50 pitches in this outing, yet only 27 of them were strikes. And for any mathematicians out there, that means he threw 23 balls in this game. So the command was a real struggle. It seemed like head coach Paul Mainieri, pitching coach Terry Rudy, and Goodman were going to really make some sort of adjustments after that last outing against Army, but whatever they did, over the last week, it just didn't work. And now Goodman has gone 3 starts to begin the year, not making it past the 4th inning. Of course, today was his shortest outing of the year. Offensively, much of the same. South Carolina was real fortunate to get 7 runs on Friday despite only having 4 hits. Some of that did come from some good timely hits, but they also got a few runs off of a few wild pitches, a few errors in the field made by Clemson. So that helped increase their run total by the end of the game. The last 2 games really showed that if Clemson's playing better defense, they're not making self-inflicted mistakes, South Carolina's got to bring more pop at the plate, and 4 hits over each of the last 2 games of this weekend is just not going to cut it, and it did not do so here on Sunday. So Gamecocks only had 12 hits for the weekend. In total, they went 12 for 91, which I'm trying to remember the math here, but it's a really bad batting average. So the offense, for all the improvements they made by bringing in new players in the offseason and trying to add more power and pop to this lineup, we just did not see that. And to be fair, we really haven't seen that much throughout the first dozen games of this year, and there's still a long way to go, but the offense is definitely concerning right now. And I think you could say the same thing about the pitching outside of Josh Gunther and a few other arms on this staff who have looked good, but there's been a lot of guys that really just haven't pitched all too great so far this year. So overall, it's a tough weekend for the Gamecocks. They really needed to find a way to win this series, especially after winning the first game. You had the home field advantage to some degree by playing at Segra Park in Columbia yesterday. Coming here was always going to be tough with a redshirt freshman pitcher on the mound, finding a way to win this game, but just didn't play well enough throughout this weekend, and that's ultimately the result they got, was dropping this series in a rubber match here on Sunday. So the Gamecocks will start a 5-game series starting on Tuesday night with USC Upstate. First pitch will be at 6:30 p.m. on SEC Network Plus. Once again, South Carolina falls 7-2 to number 15 Clemson here in the weekend finale at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. So for GamecockCentral.com, I'm Jack Veltri.